Okay, so I am here with rockstar investing coach Sonja Skye, Sonja Skywalker, as I like to say. And Coach Sonja has been around. How long have you been around?
I was a member since 2011, and then I got my real estate license in 2016. So I've been here for a while.
Okay, so that's a common thing. Is a lot of the rockstar coaches actually started out as members. I would say most of the coaches at this point started out as members, but maybe not as early as 2011. I hadn't realized you'd been a member that long. Yeah, so 2011, you joined. Were you investing already before then?
No, I wasn't investing at all. And it was something that was completely new to me. So I ended up being a single mom, and I was working multiple jobs, and I was doing research, and I was trying to find a way to make extra money, but at the same time not to have to work so hard and have a good future for my 3 daughters. So I started going to different programs, started finding out information. I went to the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Somebody invited me. I did a 3-day event there. And then I started seeking things out myself. And that's how I came across Rockstar. And I was like, this is perfect. Like a Canadian company that can help you out, get a property. And it just worked for me from there.
Okay. What was the Rich Dad program like?
Well, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad was more American-based, and you walked into that class, and the first thing they tried to tell you was, call your credit card company and increase your limit so that you can pay for this course. So it was one of those courses where you had to pay a lot of money up front. It was like $30,000 or $40,000, and I was like, at that time, that's a down payment on a house.
Yeah.
So if I have that money to spend, I'd rather put it towards a house. And that was the good thing about Rockstar, because the fee was so minimal to get started. Mm-hmm. And you had someone that's helping you in Canada and will help you throughout the whole process. So it was way better. And I was so happy when I found it.
Yeah. So I had a similar process. I had gone to like a weekend boot camp with another real estate investing kind of coaching organization. And the cost at the time, this was about 9 years ago, the cost at the time was $25,000 to join the annual membership. And then there was like an annual fee after that. And, it seemed good. Like I would learn some stuff. But luckily at the time I didn't have all the money. Otherwise I probably would have done it. And then about a year later, I stumbled across Rockstar, went to the free training class, thought this was great, met Tom, was like, okay. And then the cost to join was like $150, at the time. And I was like, okay, it seems good. And then you get a coach, and I was like, okay, seems good. So I was like, I've spent $150 on worse things, that could just be like a dinner out. So I signed up, and yeah, it went well. But that's a common thing we get is people like Rockstar's business model as opposed to some of these other real estate coaching things, because there you're paying 10, 20, 30 grand just for the coaching, for the one-on-one coaching from, what's supposed to be like an experienced investor. And here you're not paying for that coaching the same way, because the way we make money is we're a real estate brokerage. And so we're licensed realtors, all of the coaches here. So you still get one-on-one coaching from an experienced investor. But then the way we make money is on the back end is by helping our investors become more successful and purchase more homes. And so the more homes we can help people purchase to grow their portfolio, we get paid the commission, and it's not coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of the person who's selling the home. So it's just a much better business model that way.
Oh, definitely. Like just that weekend boot camp was more money than a 1-year membership.
Yeah, at Rockstar. Yeah.
At Rockstar. So
yeah.
I thought it was a fabulous idea, and especially because you're having someone taking you to properties in the area. They're not just giving you the training. They're taking you step by step.
Yeah, walking you through the property, helping you purchase the property, getting the best price for the property, executing the strategy on the property. Yeah. Who were you working with as a coach then?
I was working with Andrea.
Andrea. Oh, okay. Beautiful. So yeah. Andrea McDonald.
Yes.
And then so what happened? You started buying houses?
Yeah. So at that time I was in a position where I didn't want to do any work on a house. I didn't want to have to really deal with tenants. So the rent to own idea just really spoke to me. And then when I started learning more about it, I didn't know anything about the rent-to-own program before. And I didn't even know that that was something that we can do. And you're getting like good quality tenants, you're getting a property, you're getting an upfront payment. And when I was looking at the numbers, I thought, wow, this is crazy not to do it. Right?
Yeah. So you started with the rent-own?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did a few of those?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And did you switch your strategy at any point, or are you stuck with straight rent-owns?
No, I switched my strategy afterwards. Like early on in my career, it was the rent-to-owns, because at that time, I had that fear of having to do renovations and the fear of dealing with tenants and so on. And then once you are in the industry and you've purchased properties and you've helped clients purchase properties, you lose that fear.
Yeah.
Right? And you're looking more for different strategies, different cash flow opportunities as well. So it's a little different right now.
Yeah. Rent-own was definitely all the rage back then from what I hear from all of you guys. And it did make a lot of sense back then, especially with the upfront payments that were coming in. You get the boosted cash flow. And I did the same thing. I did a rent-own when I first joined as a member, and then quickly got comfortable with the idea of owning real estate, knowing nothing about it like yourself before I started. And then after that, it was like, okay, I think I can expand my horizons here. Like, tell me more about student rentals. Like, how does that work? Like, what's a duplex conversion? How do you do that? How much money do you need? So what did you end up pivoting to beyond rent-to-owns?
So mainly student rentals. So as my daughters got older and they were getting ready for university, one of them decided that she's going to Brock. And I thought that was a perfect opportunity to sell my property in Durham and buy a couple of properties in St. Catharines and get some student rentals going and getting my kids involved and teaching them how to do leases and vet the tenants, and I got them to start doing the placements. So it was a great way to get them involved and have a place to live as well.
Yeah. So then they were getting their friends or extra people on board to rent the rooms?
Yes.
Okay. And these were Brock. Was this in St. Catharines then you were buying them?
In St. Catharines.
Okay. 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom?
Well, one of them started off as a 5-bedroom, but I saw there was an opportunity to put in a 6. So that's why I purchased that property.
Yeah.
And for a small amount of money, I was able to convert it into 6 bedrooms, and you increase your cash flow right there.
Yeah. At what point did you switch to student rentals? Like, when was this?
Oh, so this was 2017.
Okay. And there was enough demand back then from Brock University?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there still is. There's so much demand still.
Do you still own all those?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you never sold after your kids left?
No. Well, my daughter still is in one of the properties.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did they all go to Brock then? Because you have 3 daughters.
Yeah. No, 2 of them went to Brock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So one of them was in Waterloo at the time, and so she was living there, and the rest of us moved to St. Catharines, and one of them started at Brock while the other one was just starting high school.
Oh, okay. So what do your daughters think of it now after being involved with real estate? Like, is it something that they want to do?
Well, one of them is actually planning on purchasing her first property this year. So,
oh, awesome.
Yeah. And she wants to make sure that she has a roommate to help cover the cost. So I think it's helped them. They've learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Getting comfortable with it, comfortable with the idea. So this is going to be a property for herself to live in?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You guys travel a lot. That's what I noticed. Is that a recent thing, or you've always done that?
It's a recent thing. In the last couple of years, we've started traveling quite a bit. My eldest actually has been traveling the last 2 years all through Australia. She was working there for a bit, and now she's back and getting settled. But yeah, that's the nice thing about being in real estate and having your properties working for you, is that you're getting paid while you're on vacation.
I know.
So it's
can't complain.
No, I can't complain. And yeah, we plan to do a lot more traveling in the near future.
Do you manage all the properties yourself?
Yes, I do.
Still manage them. Okay. So what happens if something comes up while you're abroad, as I'm sure it has?
Yeah, I'm sure it has. It sure has. I'll never forget. I was going to China, and as soon as I get off the plane, I get a call. The furnace in one of the properties is gone. Mm-hmm. And this is November. So I have people in the area, whether they're friends or people that are covering for me when I'm gone. Yeah. So I called one of them. I'm like, I need a furnace. He's like, I'm on it. So it was done.
Just a phone call.
It was just a phone call. He he took care of everything, and then I just paid him back afterwards. It was
pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What inspired you to get your real estate license? Yeah, and help people beyond just, yourself?
So once I started learning a little bit more about real estate and started investing, and I thought, if I could do this, anybody can do it, right? When I first started, I didn't really tell anyone because people will try to discourage you, thinking you're struggling, you don't have that much cash, you're working on all these jobs, like how are you possibly going to do this? But if they don't have that education and understanding of why it makes sense that it really isn't a risk, it's difficult for them to comprehend. So I wanted to really be able to help others, and that's why I ended up getting my license, because I think it's just a great way to live life. There's so much more that I'm able to do now that I wasn't able to do back then, and I wanted to see other people do the same.
Yeah. So you said you don't see it as a risk. So why is that?
So, for example, when I was doing the rent to own, when you're looking at the numbers, I was using a line of credit for the down payment.
Off of your principal home?
Off my principal home.
At least when you're starting out?
Exactly. Right? But when you look at it and the money that you're getting from the property, and then you're getting in tenants that have a vested interest in that property, so they're taking care of the home. If they don't pay their rent on time, they're losing credits each month. There was so much advantage to doing that. And also they are taking care of the home because they were planning to have that as their future home to live in.
Yeah.
They were planning to buy it. So I didn't see it as a risk at all. I thought it was more of a risk to continue going the same path as I'm going, where I'm working 3 jobs and not spending any time with my kids. And that's not what I wanted.
So you were a single mom. You're working, you've said now 2 to 3 jobs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you didn't like the path you were on?
No.
Okay. What jobs were you working?
So at that time, I had a couple jobs doing medical aesthetics. I was in the restaurant business previously, and then I was at a point where I was out of a job, so I started over and started doing medical aesthetics because it was something I enjoyed. I even drove a golf cart on the weekends just to make ends meet.
Were you the beer girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I did have was an asset, and I wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep the property.
This is your personal home.
Exactly. So I decided I'm going to do whatever it takes, that I'm not going to lose it.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been tough. How old were your kids at the time when you were juggling all that?
Oh, they were young. My youngest was like 3 at the time. So it was a tough
go.
It was a tough time.
Yeah. Things got better as you got into real estate.
Absolutely. Things got a lot better after I got into real estate.
Yeah. So how did you find transitioning into, because I'm sure it was like you had to kind of dip your toe into becoming a real estate agent and build up some business and be able to get a certain amount of income coming in, right, before you could leave your other jobs. So what was that process like?
Yeah. So I slowly started leaving one job at a time. And then as things got better, because you have your money from your properties, then you have also your...
Oh, so the investments are at least helping you out at that point.
Exactly. So it didn't take that long when I got to the point where I didn't need to have any of the other jobs.
Yeah. Do you think rent to own still makes sense today in today's market?
Yes, I think it still makes sense, and I think people can still make it work. It's not as easy, I'd say, as it was then on a single family home, but it's still definitely a great option. There are people out there that have money and they have the willingness to purchase a home, but they just need some time, right? And it's a great way for people, for example, if you have a family with young kids and they want to move into a specific neighborhood, but they don't want to just rent, they want to be able to live in that neighborhood, they'll be willing to pay that extra money to be in that home.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a lack of education around rent to own. Like I said, when I first started, I had no idea what it was about.
Same, yeah. It was a completely new concept to me. Yeah. Now I see it other places. You see it at like furniture stores, like rent to own. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Like I know how the kind of model works now, right? Just from a real estate perspective. Do you still own those properties? Like, did they buy them out, or
No.
They didn't actually buy them out?
No.
Okay. For one reason or another?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you just hold on to them now as single family rentals?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But you like the student rentals, eh?
I do. The student rentals are my favorite. The problem is when you have the single family homes, you might have great tenants and they're paying and so on.
Low maintenance.
They're low maintenance, but you're not making as much profit off of them.
Yeah.
As well, because you've had the tenants in there for so long, and so you're not at market rents. Whereas with the student rentals, they don't stay more than 3 to 4 years. So you're always at market rent. There's not as much renovations as you would if you're converting into a duplex.
Yeah.
So the cost of setting up a student rental,
much cheaper.
It's much cheaper. I mean, I put I added an extra bedroom, and that was everything that I put into that property was under $10,000.
Yep.
Right? And then you're increasing your cash flow by $500-$600 a month.
Yeah. What were the rents when you first bought those properties in like 2017? Like what were you getting per bedroom?
So about $500.
500?
Yeah.
Okay. And today?
So today it's about $600.
Okay.
But I've had long-term tenants and they're really good.
Yeah. So you're still stuck with maybe like one more year of them?
Yeah.
They'll flip over, you can refill.
Well, they're flipping over, but haven't been raising things too much because I'm finding like a couple go every year and then they're actually finding the tenants right now. So they're doing everything. So I'm keeping it reasonable for them, and they keep the place spotless, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because people think students, it's a mess, it's broken. But once you have a good strategy for having students in the property, and you find the right students, it's amazing how much they actually take care of it and treat it well.
So is your strategy putting them all in one lease agreement then?
That's part of the strategy. The biggest thing that helped me when I was turning over students was with the last group, I sat down with them all and I said, I want all 6 of you, we're having a meeting, and we're going to go through the lease line by line all together. I want to make sure you all understand it completely. I want to make sure that any of your questions are answered. And if there's something that there's an issue, we talk about it right now before anybody signs anything. So when we sat down, it was for at least about an hour. We talked for a long time. But once I got them all signed up, it's never been an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love student rentals.
I do.
Because once you have the right systems in place, man, it's not that much more work than a single family rental. There is just going to be a higher turnover rate if you had to average it out, probably, right? Because you're looking at anywhere from 1 to 3 years on average. Because if it's a first year student, group of friends, they're moving in for second year. If they stay, then it's third year, fourth year, and potentially that fifth year. Right? Maybe there's some replacements, right? They bring in some other people or they sublet rooms, that type of thing. But yeah, you're looking at max 4 years and then you can flip market rent. So I feel less pressure personally to bump rents up year to year, knowing, okay, 1 more 2 years, they're going to flip over anyways. And if they're good tenants, to your point, like keeping the place clean, which is definitely a bit more rare with student rentals to have a clean, spotless place. But if you're flipping it over, then you're going to be able to bump those rents up anyways, right?
Oh, exactly. And also, if you ever want to sell the place, you can sell it vacant. The students leave and you could sell it vacant, and you don't have to worry about the tenants still being in there and having trouble selling the property. Yeah. It does give you that exit option, right? Absolutely. Like on every perspective, I just love the student rentals. For me, I find it works. But so let's say you have like a 6-bedroom place like you have, right? Mm-hmm. Then would you find, I know you probably don't have plans to sell it, I'm not sure, but if you are selling it and there's 6 bedrooms, do you find you're mainly only attracting other investors though looking to purchase that property, or would a personal homeowner still be interested? It would probably more geared to students, but it also depends on the neighborhood that it's in as well. So with mine, they're in an area where it's a mix of homeowners and students. It's not all just students. So a homeowner can easily live in that property, and they just have a finished basement with extra rooms.
Yeah.
Or they can convert it into a duplex because they already have everything set up downstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the ultimate property. Like if you can convert it to a duplex, or if there's already like a kitchen down there and it's easy to do, that's even better. If it's already like done, right? You can convert to a duplex. You can rent as a student rental. You can rent as a single family home rental. It just gives you the most versatility.
Exactly. And I did put like little kitchenettes down there. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what just like a stove, fridge?
Yeah.
Little countertop?
Yeah. So they have everything down there. So that's why I'm saying converting to a duplex is easy. So you have a lot of options with that property.
Yeah.
So even if you're selling it, you're not necessarily just selling it to someone who wants a student rental. It can be like a family, or it can be someone who wants to do a duplex.
Yeah. So the last property I purchased was August 2023, and it was one of those types of properties where the guy had actually built an extra bedroom above the garage. Mm-hmm. So upstairs had the 3 regular bedrooms, one of these bungalows typically has, but then it also had this extra room above the garage. So it was 4 bedrooms already up. And then downstairs he had put in a little basement apartment, and but there was like 2 sitting rooms and then a bedroom. So then all we did, to your point, was put up like some door frames and doors. I think that was like $2,000 to do that. We finished one of the spaces inside, which was like a broom closet under the stairs. We made that into a closet. So that was a bit more. But we made those 2 extra bedrooms. So it was a total of 7 bedrooms. And it was like about 10 out of pocket. And we did some other stuff beyond just the bedrooms for the whole thing, right? So it wasn't like a duplex conversion where you're spending anywhere from like maybe 100 to 200. Then you have like a 6-month reno time possibly, right? Where you're carrying the property through that whole renovation before you're able to rent it out. And so for me, who didn't have that capital at the time, that was a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, even with mine, like for under $10,000, you're putting in a kitchenette and a bedroom and you're good to go. It added so much value to it.
Yeah. And then let's say student demand dies down for some reason. You're struggling to find students. Okay, you can flip that to a 2-unit property and you can still get the cash flow.
Absolutely.
Right? Or if let's say you don't want to do that for some reason, you flip it to single family home. You're not going to make as much profit, but maybe you want the low maintenance aspect of the single family home, or the decreased risk of tenants not getting along or something like that. Speaking of that, have you had any like bad stuff happen along this journey? Bad tenants?
Yeah. I mean,
contractors screwing you, anything?
Well, in the beginning, yes, like I've had some like bad students, but that's why I'm saying like over time, once you have that experience, you develop strategies on how to work with them. Yeah. And you're a lot more careful who you put into your properties. Yeah. So I had like this one student that I had a lot of difficulty with, but eventually got him out. Yeah. Did
you have to go to the landlord tenant board for that? Oh, okay.
No. We just did it on our own. That's one important thing that I really stress to people is having the communication with your tenants, because once it comes to the point where you have to go to the landlord tenant board, they're less likely to work with you. Yeah. So if you can deal with people and talk to them and find if there's something that you can do for each other or a way to work with each other, it's always going to be the better choice.
Yeah, people skills definitely help with real estate.
Oh, absolutely.
If somebody didn't have good people skills, would you recommend they get into it?
I'd recommend that they learn to have good people skills or have someone else manage their property.
Exactly. That's the other option. Yeah. So I used to work with this guy at Pepsi, and a bit rough around the edges, just kind of like a grumpy guy. And he had a Brampton rental, and this was before I knew anything about real estate. But he had always these tenant stories, but this guy was like a very prickly guy who didn't get along with many people. So I could almost see how it was happening to him. Maybe it was, on the tenants too, but, he had one tenants that after they left, I guess they were so upset with him, they stuffed a chicken down one of the drains, like a raw chicken. And then the stench was coming up, and it took him forever to find out where the stench was coming from. And he had to pull out a chicken from the drain. And then he had another like cop tackle him on his front lawn because he was in like a dispute with his tenant. And I was like, oh man, I just don't know that real estate's cut out for this guy.
Oh, exactly. Like if you're not good at communicating with your tenants and you get them angry with you, they're going to try to find ways to destroy your property or like.
Yeah. But if you're reasonable, it's like the law of reciprocity, right? Like how you treat people is how they're going to treat you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like it's always a good idea. Like at Christmas time, go visit your tenants, give them a gift. And it doesn't have to be anything big, like a gift card or whatever. Do the little things. When they ask for something to be fixed, like be on it quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because if you were renting the property and the stove went, like when would you want it fixed? Like ASAP.
Exactly. And I find when you do things like that and you respond to them right away, they really appreciate it and they take care of things. So I have tenants that are fixing things on their own, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just better in every way.
Absolutely.
It's better for stress. It's better for your finances.
And better for when you're traveling so you don't have to worry about all these calls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how come you're traveling so much now? Is it just because your daughters are older and you have the ability to now?
Yeah. It's the ability to, the time, the finances, with the girls being older, they've wanted to travel more. When we sold our property and bought a couple in St. Catharines, we also had money left over from that. So we decided to go on a vacation. So
cool. Was this a rental you sold or this was a personal?
Personal.
Okay, personal. And then you moved, don't you live around there?
I live in St. Catharines. Yeah. I moved in 2017.
Okay. Was that to be closer to your investments then at that point, or?
It was to buy two properties in St. Catharines.
Okay.
Like I was able, with the price difference of having a home in the GTA, like I was able to buy two. One of my daughters was at Waterloo, the other one was starting Brock, and it was just going to be myself and my youngest at home. So it made sense to buy two smaller homes in St. Catharines and
and you're already a full-time Rockstar coach.
Exactly.
So you had the flexibility to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
And then all of our clients were buying out that way as well. So it made sense for me to move out that way because people wanted to go to St. Catharines to find properties. Yeah. And I'm already there. And I learned the area by living there. So.
Yeah, because around that time, that kind of spillover effect was happening, right? Like a lot of people that were buying in like Hamilton or maybe even the Durham region were looking for better cash flow maybe, right? So you look at the lower purchase prices in like St. Catharines. And I know St. Catharines really started kind of booming around then.
Yeah, everything just fit in. And when my daughter said she wants to go to Brock University in St. Catharines, I'm like, well, why pay rent when I can buy a house and you can have other students in there and you can live for free, basically.
Yeah, and it works for everyone.
Yeah, although I did make her pay for a few things like the utilities and so on. I didn't want to...
Got to teach a little discipline, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah. At what point did you write a book? And tell us what the book's about and what inspired you to do it.
Okay. So after I joined Rockstar as a realtor and I got my license and I started working with people, I really wanted people to learn about real estate in general and how to start investing. And what I didn't know about the rent to own, for example, and how we were talking about how it's not really a risk and it's something that people should take a look into.
Hey, it's Anthony Molinaro from the Your Life, Your Term show, and I've got some exciting news. On Saturday, April 12th, we're hosting our biggest and most in-depth Your Life, Your Terms event yet in Mississauga, Ontario, and space is filling up fast. This is your chance to join us for a transformational day packed with powerful insights, strategies, and connections to help you live life on your terms. We'll be covering the biggest real estate opportunities, what's happening with the Canadian and global economy, how to protect and grow your wealth with Bitcoin and hard assets, assets, and how to use marketing strategies and disruptive technologies to build freedom and income for yourself. But here's the deal. Tickets are going up the closer we get to the event, and with the early flood of registrations, we'll likely be hitting capacity. If you want to guarantee your seat and save some money, register now before it's too late. And remember, if you're a Rockstar Inner Circle member, your tickets are completely free for yourself and your guests. Head over to yourlifeyourtermsevent.com and secure your spot today. You don't want to miss this one. That's yourlifeyourtermsevent.com.
When I was running the numbers, when I was looking at the rent to own, I was like, okay, it's going to cost me about $50,000 to put into a property for a down payment. I don't have the money, but I have a line of credit, and I can use that for the down payment. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I was like, okay, in 3 years, that property's going to generate over $100,000. So basically, by not putting in too much effort into a property, I'm getting paid over $30,000 a year when you look at it. Mm-hmm. So after 3 years, I can, if I sell that property, I mean, that covers a lot of expenses for my 3 daughters. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, what other parents are out there that don't have enough time with their kids, that want to make that extra money, but at the same time, be able to spend time with their kids? So I wrote something that was very simple, and I put out the numbers out there just to give people an idea that mm-hmm. anybody can do this. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's a quick read. It was a short book, and people were telling me that I should just sell the house and rent it. And at that time, I was like, I just want to keep the house as much as I can. I had to make a decision. It's like either I rent it and then I can get by easily, but I'm going to have nothing left over time. Like when you're just renting and you're spending all your money, then you're losing all your assets. You have nothing left at the end, and then it's going to be really hard to buy anything afterwards. Mm-hmm. So that's why I decided to just work hard, find a way to keep the property and make money. And by investing, I was able to solve all of my problems. And I thought, what if I can help other people do the same?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a lightning bolt hitting you. You're like, what the hell? Why does nobody know about this?
Exactly. Like it makes so much sense. I barely had to do anything, and I'm getting paid over $30,000 a year. I would never have been able to save that much, even with the multiple jobs I was working. Yeah.
Yeah. It is wild, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, real estate's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but nobody explains it to you that way. You hear, oh, cash flow, and one day if you sell the house, you'll make money. But you don't think, well, you could buy a house, and in 3 years, you already have a buyer that's already taken care of your house. You've been making extra money every month because you've been charging them a premium rent. They gave you money up front. They're taking care of your property. And at the end of the day, if they buy it, you're making over $30,000 a year.
Yeah, I know.
How does that not make sense?
Yeah.
And the upfront was $21,000. So even though I had to borrow $50,000, I got $21,000 right away.
Because that was from the tenant's upfront option payment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So really, it was a $30,000 investment.
Yeah. Off of a line of credit.
Yeah.
Or refinance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to get out to people. Like, look, this is not that difficult. It doesn't take a lot of money. If you have some money aside or an asset that you can borrow against, you can do this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. The numbers don't lie. Yeah. And then, as I learned more about this stuff from like Tom and Nick, who go into the weeds of like, how money's created and how it works. And then I understood, it's because like when you get a mortgage, you're creating that new money out of thin air. And it's like, you're creating a lot of money. If you put 20% down and you're getting 80% of the value of the property, like that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that were just created out of thin air that are now tied into that property. And over time, as the tenant lives there, right? And then, and they're paying for the expenses, then that home over time generally appreciates and the mortgage gets paid down. And then there's a new chunk of equity there that you can tap into to kind of create more money and buy another asset. And then,
you think about like your day job, right? Or you're working 2-3 jobs like you were, and how much time it takes to mine that fiat money, mine that income yourself by you just working. It's like, oh, like this whole system isn't what I thought, you know, like you're taught to go to school, get a good job, work really hard, make money, save, which is all great stuff. Keep doing that. You need a good income and you need to save money. But at the same time, you're like, oh, like just getting a mortgage is creating money out of thin air. Like there's another way to kind of do this and look at this, right?
Yeah.
That's like some of the more advanced thinking that I learned from Tom and Nick. But at the beginning, I was just, my mind was blown because I was looking at the numbers too on spreadsheets. I'm like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the power of leverage, right? It's something I didn't really understand as much either until I got into the industry.
Yeah. And then you just obviously have to be careful with real estate prices correcting because leverage works 2 ways. But then that's where I love Tom's like economic updates and stuff, right? Where he's looking at all the government debt and, you know, how can they continue to, you know, how can they let this whole thing collapse? They have to keep printing money to pay for their debt. So then you start to realize, oh, I think this system just continues. And then you're looking at house prices going up around you and everyone's confused around you, but you feel like you have like this secret advantage because you're like, I think kind of understand how this thing works. Like they're going to have to keep doing this. The whole system is built on debt. Like they're going to have to keep going into more debt. And so like, you should probably try to access some of that debt for yourself and like use it to your advantage, right? And real estate's like this weird hack to be able to do that. Yeah, it's super cool. Clients of yours, how have you seen them kind of evolve over the years since you started working with them back in 2014? I'm sure many were doing rent to owns then. Like, what are some of their journeys that you've seen? Like,
yeah, it's funny because I find my clients' journeys have started the same as mine and have transitioned from there. Like when I first started, a lot of people were doing rent to own. It really made sense. And I think when I just went through it and with my book and so on, I was really excited about it. And everyone was really interested in it at the time. And I think after that, people started venturing into other things as well because they're like, okay, now how can I make more cash flow? How can I make more money? And that's when people start looking at the student rentals and the multi-unit properties.
Yeah.
Right.
How have you seen St. Catharines develop over the years? Obviously, prices have gone up a lot. Like, do student rentals still make sense, you think, in St. Catharines area?
Yeah, the student rentals I find have been really easy, especially since I don't need to fill them anymore. I have everyone else filling them for me. The students are really good at when they have a couple girls leaving, they just want to replace them on their own anyways. They enjoy being able to pick their own tenants.
Yeah, because they want to get along too with
Absolutely.
Whoever they bring in. So they don't want just randoms dropped in there. They want to, select themselves.
Exactly. And like I said, with that one property, the girls are very respectful. They're very clean, which, most people don't think that, but they like their home organized and clean, and they try to find other girls that are very similar to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and they'll do a better job than I will. So
yeah,
I'd rather let them do it.
Hands off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, could you have seen yourself getting to the point where you're able to travel and to have spent all this time with your children and provide for yourself in the way that you've been able to back then?
No, absolutely not. Like I said, I was at a point where I thought I was going to lose my home, and I was just trying to hold on to it.
Wow.
So my life completely changed. And even when I moved to St. Catharines, I was at home with my youngest, and I started spending a lot of time with her. And she's like, wow, I'm not used to you being home, but this is great. You're making food for me. You have time for me.
Yeah.
And just that alone was worth it. Like when your kids are noticing that you have time with them, it makes all the difference.
Yeah. And now to be able to go to Australia with them and travel, you must just be like so happy for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing. It was so nice to be able to go away for 2 months and not have to worry about not being able to pay the bills when you get home.
Yeah. Have you worked, I'm sure you've worked with many parents, but have you worked with any other like single mothers as a coach?
Yes.
Yeah. That stick out? Because I just feel like they would really resonate with your story, right? Like
Yeah.
you'd be able to kind of understand where they're at and what they're going through.
Yeah, but it's crazy. It's not just the single moms that enjoy this story. It's I find that a lot of men actually respect that as well.
Yeah. Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do for sure.
Right.
It's impressive.
That I've talked to people because they're like, okay, you didn't just turn in and like you could have sold, you could have rented, right, and just made life easier for yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe in like a traditional relationship, let's say the wife's not working as much because she is taking care of the kids or stuff. I feel like the men they're working their butts off too, right? To try to provide the same way you were with like 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe they're working multiple jobs or they're just working really hard at their one job, but they want to spend that time with their kids too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could totally see them resonating with that, especially when they're young. Like you only get, Jim Shields, who's been on the podcast before, that line always sticks out with me. Like you get 18 summers.
Yeah.
Because, once they're past 18, obviously they're becoming adults. They tend to spend less and less time with you, more time with their friends, and then they find a partner and then get married. And then, just the time you get with them starts to dwindle down the older they get. So that line always stuck with me in the future when I hopefully have kids, which is like, you get 18 summers, like make the most of it. Right.
Yeah. My kids are all over 18 now, but I spend a lot of time with them. It's crazy.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm fortunate that I get to spend so much time with them that I didn't get to spend when they were young. There was a few years there where I barely spent any time with them, but it's really nice to be able to do that now, and that they want to spend time with me, which is great.
Yeah, totally. What's next for you? Do you have any big plans, or just keep on keeping on?
My plans pretty much just to travel the world at this point. Yeah.
Keep traveling.
Yeah, to keep traveling, see the world. That's my biggest goal, and help out my kids, not by doing things for them, but basically guiding them and encouraging them to do things. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they really look up to you for the example you've set. I definitely would. It's a lot of hard work and not an easy situation to be in, right? And to not only pull yourself out, but kind of thrive is super impressive, Sonja.
Thanks. Well, what I say all the time is that if I wasn't put in a situation that I was put in, I would have never learned about investing. I would never be doing what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. So I'm just grateful that I came across that opportunity and was able to jump on it. Yeah,
and you were ready for it, clearly, right? Because when your back's against the wall, it's kind of no choice but to go forward.
Well, you do have a choice. You can go forward, or you can, fall, right? Yeah. I chose not to fall.
Yeah, good for you. Super impressive, Sonja. I didn't know that about your story. You're very quiet. You're very polite. So it's nice to get you on here. I appreciate it. And I know your members have loved working with you. So it's great to just get your story out there finally, because you've been around forever. So thank you for doing this. And I don't know if you're on social media at all. Like if somebody wants to reach out, is there somewhere you want to direct them?
I prefer to be more personal with people. Like I'd rather people reach out to me by email or by phone, like call me. I love more the one-on-one as opposed to the social media. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if somebody's interested, should we share your Rockstar email? Absolutely. Yeah. If they want to connect. Okay. So that's Sonja at rockstarbrokerage.com. Sonja. That's right. At rockstarbrokerage.com. Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Sonja. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to leave us with? No, I think that's it. Thank you for having me. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.